That Aerolith can influence the weather, almost certainly by things that frozen over.
Malfunctioning then?
Indisputably. The ice buildup must be causing a cyclical localized reaction.
Sure. I'll take care of it.
Good idea. Swampy environs and intense cold is bad even for Enclave parchment. Best to lower the risk.
Already warming up. Hope I didn't damage the priceless artifact too much.
Can't make an omelette, as they say.
A lot of notes here. Water damage from the cold and melt, though. Let's see. Materials. Huh. That's how you visualize a pattern. Lots of marginal notes. These have to be from Lucia. Ah, she mentions a flood in the later passages.
Sev and I will look at these together with her book then. See what we can learn in context. As Aurea says, candle is burning on our front.
Any luck with the materials we gathered from Lucia's workshops?
Yes. I'll let Sev fill you in.
We started with the book, which was painfully dry and highly theoretical.
Unsurprising. The Enclave was notoriously tight-lipped about the construction of the arcs.
The book was still useful, as it contained a number of craft-specific terms, shorthands and annotations, all critical. Referencing the book clarified the notes.
Without it, they bordered on deranged rant, especially at the end.
Sort of a window into her thinking.
We suspect Lucia spent a long time in isolation while working on these.
She covered many topics, but the most prominent was her work into the flood.
How do those devices I found with her mark on them tie into all of this?
In her final notes, her obsession shifted from the Enclave's leadership to the miasma flood. She was determined to find a way to stop it. On one hand, she looked to the Aeroliths as a mitigation. Could they repel the miasma?
In the end, her answer was no. And so she turned to disruption. We think the arcs were tests. Could she shut them down?
And if so, could she shut down something larger?
She was clearly successful at least once. Maybe twice if we count the one outside the Veil.
Indeed, and when we're doing more general questions, that is what we must talk about.
Her workshop was a little brisk, even for my tastes. Any idea why?
She was fascinated with Enclave technology, specifically the dismantling, disruption, and repurposing of it.
Remember our talk about the Aeroliths and how they could influence the weather? When the effect is accidentally concentrated, it can be quite intense. We suspect she was experimenting with the Aerolith in relation to the floods. She predicted their start.
We know the Hearthsiders spent years working in Denevron after the Surge. Why do we think Lucia ended up so far from the capital?
It's evident she disagreed with the leaders of the Enclave and gathered others around her who agreed. There's talk of several meetings taking place in the mire. Most likely to be away from prying eyes.
Called her group the Verdant Minds. Very planty.
I like it. It's poetic.
Who exactly was Lucia? It seems like she had a lot going on.
Brilliant, but disturbed. She harbored a severe hatred of Enclave leadership, bordering on obsession.
Reams of fiercely colorful text, just to say some very rude things. Especially about the Eye, their leader.
She was also, at one point, one of the most respected enchanters in the Enclave. She worked on something she refused to name, but was clearly of deep significance to the Enclave itself. Called it the source of all our problems.
Sadly, she only danced around that subject, and never offered details.
All intriguing information. But we should focus on the Flood. Does she have an answer for us?
Partially. This is the design.
Her research led her to one conclusion. To stop the floods. She needed to disrupt a barrier of some sort.
This confirms our theory from earlier. She's talking about the barrier established by Asylum.
Her design is detailed and specific. The device it would create inverts the flow of magic in enchanted objects, disrupting them for a time.
We think the devices we found on the Arks were prototypes, small experiments to determine efficacy and duration.
So what's the catch? If the floods are still happening, clearly she didn't build one.
Lucia's thimble, as she calls it, requires some highly specialized components. It has to withstand considerable magical flow, far more than what's produced by an Ark.
It's like how mass scales exponentially. Just because you can build a scale model of an aqueduct doesn't mean the real thing can support its own weight.
Thankfully, that supply cache you found has the necessary materials to handle that kind of magical flow.
Solar can pick up where Lucia left off then.
Exactly. The other thing we'll need is a source of magical flame. Solar's mantle won't be enough by itself.
I can handle that part easily. Okay, so we have clear next steps. Just one more thing. What happened to Lucia?
The flood. Our best guess, at any rate. There's no sign of her.
All right. Let's go over everything we know so far.
We know that, for a time after the surge, civilians continued to live in Tenebron until they were forced to evacuate the city. We're still not sure the cause.
Wherever the Hearthsiders went, they're still actively sending scouting groups to scavenge for supplies. From the uniform, the creeper who was watching Bryn sleep belongs to one of these groups.
We also know that a defensive procedure codenamed Asylum sealed access to the Enclave underground. This was done using a barrier almost exactly like the Veil.
Lucia, an ex-high enchantress, opposed Asylum and began working on ways to sabotage it.
Her research forecasted that the barrier would cause the Enclave to flood with miasma. The very same flood that seems to have killed Lucia before she was able to finish her thimble.
But we have her design. It could disrupt Asylum's barrier.
So Lucia's thimble is the key to our survival.
It's less a key and more like a magical battering ram.
Whatever works.
What is it, Lane?
It's just... I've pored over all the documents we've compiled, and a concrete link between the evacuation plan and the underground is nowhere to be found. I can't shake the feeling we're missing something.
The Enclave destroyed a lot of information from their documents. Could that be why you can't find a link between Asylum and the evacuation?
I considered that. The Enclave may have hidden their location from Lucia.
Being a weaver isn't about being certain all the time. It's about taking calculated risks to carve a path forward. And regardless of the Hearthsider's location, disrupting the barrier is the only option to stop the flood.
You're right. I just hope that if we did miss something, it doesn't come back to bite us.
Even if it does, we will handle it.
That settles it. Bryn, it's time to use the thimble.